Hi friends, let's talk about how to lay on the floor more comfortably, which I feel is another overlooked topic, but just about every single yoga class that you take is going to end in the same posture, Shavasana. You're laying flat on the floor like a corpse for anywhere between 30 seconds to 15 minutes. And the longer the Shavasana, the more uncomfortable the body can become. Or if you live in chronic pain, maybe your body's already uncomfortable. And it doesn't have to be. And I feel like the discomfort of Shavasana makes people come out of it early or skip it completely. And we definitely don't want to do that. Please don't skip your Savasana. There are ways to make it more sustainable. So let's talk about a few. I pulled down a few props from the wall. It's not limited to this, and do not feel like you have to have all of these props. I just want to run over a few ideas. So I'll, for organizational sake, start with ideas from starting with comfort of the head and then moving down to the feet. So starting with the head, if I only had one blanket, I could use it to pad underneath my head, which will do a few things. My head personally gets, the back of my head gets pretty tired laying on the floor pretty fast. So this obviously just gives it a cushion, right? Or if you had any issues with the curve of your cervical spine, changing some height underneath your head might just make it feel better for you rather than if the head, was at that floor level and it's kind of dropping back. That can be a deal breaker for some people's necks and comfort there. Now, sometimes it's not the comfort of the physical body, but it's just that being still here doesn't feel good for the mind. So if that is something that you experience, or you just want a little extra grounding, grab something to cover your eyes. Now, this is called an eye pillow. Most studios that you go to are probably not going to have them for your use, but they're really inexpensive to buy. And I have a ton of students who bring them with them to class. But if you don't have one or you don't want to get one, it's not a big deal. Use the sleeve of your sweatshirt, something around you to put some shade and some weight over top of your eyes, which can really just bring that awareness internal and maybe be encouraging enough to hold the awareness just a little bit more internally. Moving to comfort in the arms. Traditional Shavasana is going to have arms just a little space away from the body, but out long, flat to the floor, palms up to the sky, which I'm just going to come from my own personal experience, is not a comfortable position for me in my right arm. My right elbow does not straighten. So when my arms are close to me, my hand just hovers off the floor and it's awkward. So if I don't have the space to put my arm completely out, or that's not comfortable for the day, then I'm going to have to put something underneath it. So maybe I have an additional blanket underneath the hand, underneath the elbow. If I don't have a blanket, it could be a block. Again, it could be my sweatshirt, it could be anything, but just knowing that you are not limited to just uncomfortable arms. And if having the arms out from you doesn't feel quite right, doesn't feel grounding for today, one option would be to flip the palms down. That's an extra grounding sensation. Or to bring your palms to your body. That, very similarly to covering the eyes, can be this connected thing, this feedback that you can feel more of your physical body. Similar to, and continuing on down with this idea, I have a lot of students who prefer to maybe not be covered completely, always an option. Open a blanket, cover yourself up, be warm, you get cold being still on the floor, but having some weight, just some comfort over top of the hips, the pelvis, and the stomach. This is going to lock in heat since this is a big source of where we release heat, but it also is just like wearing a weighted blanket. It just feels really good, really secure to let you sink in here. Moving on down to comfort in the low back, the hips, and then the legs kind of all connected to each other. Having the legs long, I have big external rotation, so my feet flop out and that doesn't bother me. That bothers some people. So something to note, but also just the legs long can be kind of torturous on the back. So bending the knees, I see a lot of students bend the knees and rest with their pelvis at a more neutral position. Totally fine, but even this that feels really grounded, you are still holding some of your physical body, which laying on the back and letting everything go, we just want the best opportunity to, not be holding on to the physical body at all. So if you only had your one blanket, you might use that blanket, roll it up into a little column, set it underneath your knees like a makeshift bolster. Maybe you actually have a bolster, or you could use a couple of blocks to set them underneath. I like the calves maybe more than directly underneath the knees. But this will put that little bend in the knees, the hips, maybe more comfort in the low back. And something that I hadn't even thought about till the recent last couple of years is that this little elevation of the feet is super awesome on the heels. I have had ups and downs with plantar fasciitis the last couple of years where the edges of my heels could not be touching the floor. So Savasana was getting extremely uncomfortable and impossible if I didn't have something layered under my feet. So newfound appreciation for some blocks under the calves. And if you had more props, if you had another bolster or something, just keep layering up. The higher that you go with this, right, the elevation of the feet not only feels like that extra sense of grounding, but it moves some of that energy back in. It turns over the blood flow a little bit, and that might just be something that allows you to stay there for a nice long time. We only talked about Savasana laying on the back, which is the most typical, but again, is not limited to. You could do Savasana belly down, you can do Savasana on your side, or at least I would argue you can do it in whatever shape lets you be able to stay longer. I just wanted to elaborate on a classic. I didn't mention every single prop, every single modification that you could do, so please chime in the comments. Tell me the modifications of props that you love. And some days you're just gonna have to pick your battles, right? You might not have a whole studio wall worth of props available to you, so get creative. Use that sweatshirt underneath your elbow on the day where your arm needs it most, underneath your heels on the day where your plantar fasciitis is kicking up, underneath your head on any other day. And you know our slogan, pain's a bitch, but yoga helps. See you next time.